After morning, whatever time it is, wherever you are, I'm happy to see you. My name is Brian Martin, and I am the author of this lovely little book. Eternity is the E in love. Experience meaning and change the world with the power of love. I think that's a good story. Now, it says here that there's about 130 some pages in this book, and we're at the very end of it. Today I'm going to read to you the section called Ritual Endings, which I think that you will enjoy. Is a really great story here. And then there is an epilogue that I'm going to read to you also, and that will conclude the book. So what are we going to do now? Well, wait, and I'll tell you. Well, let me tell you now. What we're going to do is next week I'm going to start reading from my new book. Oxytocin is the O in love. And this book is subtitled How to Sustain and Maintain Emotional Connections. Sustaining and maintaining emotional connections in relationships. You're gonna love this book. It's almost ready to go to the publisher, but so I'm gonna start reading it to you before it's even published, and it'll be a wonderful time of sharing some really powerful insights about relationships and maintaining emotional connections. I can just ask you on a scale of 10, when you consider that the most important relationships in your life right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how high is your emotional connection with that person or those people? It's going to be a fun thing for us to read. But let's go ahead and finish up this book. It won't take long. Here we go. This is starting at page 126. And remember, you can get this book. You know, if you know me, you just bump into me somewhere. I probably have a copy in my car, but you can get it at Amazon also. It's really easy, and it's not very expensive. So it's under $100. In Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow, there's a fascinating study involving colonoscopies, starting on page 378 and following. When patients asked how painful the colonoscopy experience was, the patients who had less pain at the end of the procedure reported a better outcome than the patients who experienced more pain towards the end of the procedure, even if the total time of the experience was shorter. This is really fascinating. Their, quote, remembering self, end of quote, reported better outcome when there was less pain at the end. That's interesting. Then their experiencing self experienced through their procedure, even though their procedure lasted longer. All right, so that's interesting. The remembering self and the experiencing self. Two interesting concepts, right? When the ending was less painful, the patient's total subjective experience was better. But when the ending was more painful, but for a short time, it wasn't. A more pleasant ending has a greater influence than the total experience. Let me read this to you again, because this is a really important thing, and I know that when you think about this, it'll resonate with you as being true. A pleasant ending has a greater influence than the total experience. How we remember the ending is a greater factor than the rest of the experience. How we remember the ending determines our subjective feeling of the whole experience. If we have a good ending, the whole experience is subjectively better. This is easy to apply. It's easy to apply this, good endings matter, to just about every area of life. At the end of a rather ordinary church experience, the final hymn was punctuated by a rousing and unexpected trumpet accompaniment. It was exciting, fascinating, and attention demanding. It was a big wow. It transformed my memory of the total experience. My goodness, there's all kinds of things going on here in my world right now. That's what you get when you get live video, huh? So here we go again. My church experience, in spite of its rather ordinary nature, was elevated to a wow experience at the end of the experience. When I read a novel, one of the main factors of my enjoying it is how it ends. Happy endings matter. I'm just pretty funny in this chapter. Here's my point. You can control your experience of life by the meaning you attribute to it. This is a thinking process, especially a system 2 thinking process. When you end a difficult day, instead of thinking, God, that was a grueling, problem-filled day, I hope I never have a day like that again, which is a system 1 automatic thought, you can attribute meaning to it with a system 2 thinking and say to yourself, wow, I made it through that challenging day. Put a feather in my hat. I really enjoy my problem-solving skills. You can control your remembering self by attributing good meaning to your experience. I do this at funerals all the time. I gather all the information, the good and the bad, and I filter the loved one's life experience, even the difficult life experience, through the filter of love. I intentionally employ this technique towards the end of the service, so that when the congregation leaves the service, the good message of the person's love-filled life creates good memories, and that's what they leave with. Here's how you can apply this good subjective experience to your life. Please notice that I didn't say a positive ending. I called it a good subjective experience. I try not to put positive spin on a bad situation. That's trite, shallow, and doesn't consider people's pain. One of the worst things people can say at a funeral is, he's in a better place. That's just plain mean and rude to say that to a suffering, grief-stricken person. First, always be mindful of the fact that you can control what you are thinking and that you don't have to hold on to your current thought. There are a million things that you can think about. You control your thoughts. Second, change your thought about the ending. I'm not asking you to ignore, to deny, or to color code what happened. I am asking you to find a different way to think about it and to remember it. My default thought is gratitude. I can be grateful in just about any situation. I often compare my experience to those who had suffered more than I have. This helps me to relativize the experience and my memory of it. Someone has always had a much more difficult experience than I did. Another common technique I use to control my thoughts about an event is to move forward quickly. The less time I devote to the experience, the shorter the memory of it. I don't dwell on the experience. I move on to what's more important to accomplish next. These are not tricks. It is actually taking control of your thinking and attributing more meaning and significance to something else. It is more meaningful for me to find a way to use my gifts, skills, and talents and tools now than it is to dwell on the memory of what happened in the past, 15 minutes ago, or 50 years ago. I would rather be loving than ruminating. I would rather control my thoughts and do something than let my thoughts run wild. Said another way, my subjective experience of life will die with me, but the love I share may have a ripple effect into multiple generations. I control my love and my thoughts. The love I give is more important, more meaningful, and significant than my memory and my experience. What about you? What do you want the ending to be? You have more control than you realize. Hey, thank you guys for joining me today. Now, moving right on to the epilogue. This is really a good book. I've really enjoyed it. Epilogue. This is fun. Many years ago, Jennifer and I hosted kids clubs, an after-school gathering for children in our neighborhood. Singing the song that I wrote was a favorite and a fun ritual for our gathering. Both the gathering and the songs have had a ripple effect through the generations. A few weeks ago, a young participant, now a father with his own children, said, "Do you remember those kid clubs that we used to have in the neighborhood?" Kids clubs were a meaningful ritual to him. That song, Peanut Butter and Jelly, also reverberates through the generations. All my grown kids know it. My grandkids still sing it. The youngest ones, when they come to my house, insist that I pick up my guitar and sing it to them. This just happened to me 2 days ago. When I do sing, they dance and twirl and laugh. Peanut Butter and Jelly, the song, will endure much longer than my physical presence will. I sing it like a hymn. That is, while I enjoy the experience of singing it, I always listen for the meaning of the song. It seems like a silly, fun song. For instance, Peanut Butter and Jelly is merely a quick and easy, barely nutritious sandwich that satisfies hunger for a few minutes. It might be better if it was on a healthy, homemade multi-grain bread, and if you used honey instead of sugary jelly. And it makes me remember this peanut butter and jelly. It makes me remember home when Mom made them. And I remember Mike McGarvin. I wrote about him in the book here. And how today's Fresno Poverello House had its beginning with Marvin's ritual making of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and distributing them to Fresno's homeless. It still inspires us and many others to do the same. That song says nothing about health or Mom or McGarvin, but as I sing it, as I sing the song, they come to my mind, and it makes the experience more meaningful. Crazy, right? No, not at all. I am intentionally aware of my thoughts, control them, and they give a funny, silly song meaning. That, my dear friend, is the essence of living a meaningful and a significant life. Giving meaning to it. The main character in the song is a wiener dog with an unusually long tail. We always had dachshunds when I was growing up. The one I remember the most was named Spooky because he was all black, and we got him one year at the end of October. We associated him with Halloween. Spooky was a horny dog, and he would sneak out of the house or run from us because some female in the neighborhood was in heat. He was driven to complete his Darwinian purpose in life. He would always find himself in places he didn't belong. This thought makes my adolescent children smile, a knowing smile, and the little ones dance obliviously. Isn't it Isn't life interesting when we gain understanding? Don't we identify with many of the aspects of the songs that we sing? I think all this is great. I only wish that we were more mindful and attributed meaning and significance to them, even silly songs. In the song, the dog loses his 10-foot tail. The losing of the tail is no small thing. The long tail distinguished the dog from all the other dogs. Who ever heard of a dog with a 10-foot tail? That's ridiculous. Yet that is what the dog was given, and he used that gift, such as it was, to its fullest extent. It even became part of his identity. He would have said, I am the dog with a 10-foot tail. As you know, there are at least two ways to think about such anomalies. You can think of it as negatively, as in there's something fundamentally wrong with me because I have this 10-foot tail. Or lovingly, as in I have this lovely long tail. Don't you wish you had one? Of course, the only difference between the negative and the love is how one controls their thinking about it. Loss is a huge topic. I told you how I feel about loss in this book. People are anti-fragile and gain from loss. That's not the prevailing view of loss. The culture supports another view. My view is that life is a gift. Nevertheless, everyone dies. Knowing this truth, put your loss behind you as quickly as you can and live life the best you can. That's what our dead loved ones would want for us, right? Of course. One of the most difficult factors in losing a loved one is that you also lose your identity. You're no longer, I am Terry's wife. Who are you? Find your new identity in, I am a loving person. Move forward and accomplish every good thing your neocortex can create for you to do. Terry would be proud of you. In other words, gain from your loss and use your gifts, your skills, and your talents and tools to the fullest extent before your gift of life ends and you join the pantheon of living people who lived well, loved much, and made a difference in the world. This, I believe, is the empowering message of Jesus and all the other great and mighty ones. In the song, the dog has a philosophical response to his loss. I guess it won't be long now. Having a short tail would have never stopped Spooky. The song enjoins the listener to learn a lesson, a moral. A moral is a good way to behave, the right way. Just in case you missed it, the moral of this book is finding meaning and significance. The moral of this book is that finding meaning and significance in life is natural. There are many ways to find meaning and significance in life. In parenting, in business, in religion, in culture, in identity, in your crazy visions, in the future, and even in singing funny songs. I wrote about all of those in this book. What is important is controlling your thinking and attributing meaning to your life. Listen to this. You give meaning and significance. Meaning and significance do not give you life. I'm going to read that again. Listen to this. You give life meaning and significance. Meaning and significance do not give you life. Ultimately, meaning and significance comes from using your gifts, your skills, your talents, your tools for your own benefit and for the benefit of others. This is love. Love is the most important thing. Here's the song. So now I'll read to you the song. I won't sing it to you. You can actually find that on page 132. There's a link, or if you want the link, just text me, email me, and I'll give you the link. You can see me playing the song and two of my grandchildren dancing and singing to it. It's delightful. Peanut butter, peanut butter, peanut butter and jelly. Clap your hands, clap your hands, clap your hands, everybody. I once had a wiener dog whose tail was 10 feet long. He would always find his tail in places it didn't belong. Peanut butter, peanut butter, peanut butter and jelly. Clap your hands, clap your hands, clap your hands, everybody. One day he got his tail caught in the door. Then he said, I guess it won't be long anymore. Peanut butter, peanut butter, peanut butter and jelly. Clap your hands, clap your hands, clap your hands, everybody. So if you find your tail in places it doesn't belong, just remember the moral of this little song. Peanut butter, peanut butter, peanut butter and jelly. Clap your hands, clap your hands, clap your hands, everybody. And that is the end of the book. There's a couple other illustrations in there. One is Jennifer Martin's envelope method for philanthropy that I talked about, and also a recipe for my special breakfast drink that I made for June and I yesterday. And then there is one page that talks about me. At the bottom of the page about me, there is a reference to this photo, and I want to share that with you also. The cover photo is taken, the cover photo is of Tenaya Canyon from Sentinel Dome in Yosemite National Park, taken on a family trip with some of my grandchildren's. Look closely. You can see the future. Do you see it? I'm Brian Martin, and this has been Eternity is the E in Love. Experiencing meaning and changing the world by the power of love by me. And it's available on Amazon. I'll leave a link to that later on. God bless you. And remember to join me next week at this time because I'm beginning the O book. Oxytocin is the O in love. And it's about sustaining and maintaining emotional connections in your relationships. God bless you. I love you. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.